Tree is actually wet. I mean, the tree is actually a snow tree sometimes.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of snow this year.
What are you gonna do when it snows?
I'm gonna play.
Play in the snow? Make
Not really.
angels?
Not angels.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, as you hear, we like to go on hikes in the summer and the middle of December.
Yeah. As a child, winter was just as exciting as any other season. We longed to get outside as soon as there was a snowfall, and we didn't care how wet or cold or snowy it was. The idea of getting called in for dinner was not very pleasant, and our mother had to give the incentive of hot chocolate to actually get us back inside.
And I'm gonna actually, if I have some leftovers, which I'm getting.
Last winter, I spent some weeks upstate in the very cold countryside, and I took a number of hikes with my nephew, and I found it just a really great experience to observe the youthful joy and anticipation he had to get out in the cold every day.
All the way to those trees and come back.
Okay, ready, set, go! Woo-hoo! Whoa! You're so far! So I want to give you some recommendations to help get you into the winter spirit if you're not already, and if you are, just to help you get through the long months. While we chat, I have this whole bowl of coffee, but I do not use Keurig. I've never had a Keurig, but this was gifted to me. It was given to me, a whole box of it, and so I decided while we chat, I am going to place them, open them up, put them in jars, because I actually can use these in my French press. So let me know in the comments if you are a winter fan or not. I won't say I'm not a winter fan. I used to not be. No, I've gone through stages. I used to love winter so much. I've been through a bit of a journey myself with winter, a bit of a love-hate relationship for a long time. And I think I'm past that. I won't say I love it. I definitely don't hate it. It's not my favorite season, but I actually really enjoy winter now. I think I shifted my perspective on winter, so I can appreciate it more now. I can appreciate it and actually enjoy it at a level that I hadn't for many years as an adult. It's more because I had an issue, well, still do, with blood circulation. So that's really what kind of triggered me getting anxiety about the winter season coming up. My body just doesn't adjust well to the temperature drops. It doesn't. As an adult, everything shifted. So that does remain a challenge still, but that's all it is, a challenge. It doesn't mean that I don't like the season. So here's a few ways to keep your mind engaged in a more healthy and productive and positive manner, getting through these months. If you are like myself, struggling with that sometimes, just some things that worked for me and perhaps will work for you as well. So my first recommendation is to take a walk. Actually get out in the cold air, even if it's snowing. I mean, if it's dangerous, obviously don't use your judgment, but get yourself outside every day. And if you can't get outside, open a window and just kind of hang out by the window for a few minutes and like be a part of the winter. Allow yourself to physically feel it. I think that winter can sometimes be a pretty ugly season. Everything is dead or asleep. We don't have beautiful foliage around us. We don't have those fresh spring or summer smells or even autumn smells that kind of encourage us to get outside, but it's still so good. It's good. It's healthy for your heart, of course. It's just healthy for the body to move. And so if you're able to do that, if you're capable of doing it, if you're able to do it, go out, walk for 10 to 15 minutes. Even if it seems like there's no purpose to it, it's going to help. It helps the mindset. Just walking. It's productive. You come back in, you get you something warm to drink, and it's like, it's the simple act of moving deliberately and daily. And that's an achievement in itself. I had to move because the sun shifted. What time is it? It's 4 o'clock. That means we have about 20 minutes left, maybe. So the second activity I would recommend is learning something. Winter is a great time to learn something new, or perhaps pick up something that you were learning at some point, like painting or calligraphy or mathematics or music, or perhaps getting into the kitchen and learning how to cook or learning how to bake. Maybe you're really good in one department or the other, and it's a good time, since it's a slower time, to just challenge your mind more in the learning department. Taking those kind of longer nights to set aside, even if it's only 20 minutes, even if it's only a couple hours over the course of the whole week. There's a lot of online platforms where you could learn something, or you could just do something physically, like crochet. There is an ocean of things to learn. So what better time to do that than the slowest season throughout the year? Moving on to food. I couldn't leave some hearty meals out of this list because food, eating is one of the most comforting things that I think any human will ever experience. It's the first thing we do one of the first things we want when we come out of the womb is to eat. And so winter is a great time to have a bucket list. I call it a bucket list. I personally have a winter meals bucket list, that there are certain meals that I will pretty much only make in the winter. So in this list, I'm going to give you 3 options that are not only warming and hearty, but that at least 2 of them you could do as like a meal prep. So I made chicken and dumplings about a year ago, and it was incredible. It was so good that I ended up making it, I think, 3 times last winter. The first 2 times were because it was just so delicious. And the 3rd time is because I was developing my recipe a bit more in order to share it with you. And so I will leave that linked below. I did make a video on that, so I'll leave that down in the description. You can go check that out after this and perhaps make that yourself. And of course, we can't speak about winter meals without discussing soup, because I think in some ways soup gets a bad rap. Soup can be so good. It can be really exciting, kind of like salad. Soup and salad, you either like them or you don't like them, but I think anybody can like them if they're maybe more interesting. So there's nothing wrong with chicken noodle soup, but what if you did something like turkey meatball soup? What I did is I just picked up ground turkey meat and I came up with something on my own. I just wung it. And It was so delicious. It was so incredible. That's definitely something I'm going to add to my arsenal of winter soups. I think it's a really good idea that we're always boosting our iron. So having steak at least a few times a month, if you can't do more than that, it's really important, at least in my own diet. And if you can't afford steak, then perhaps get yourself some chopped meat. I've done this many times as well, where I do like a mock steak. So it's basically a bunless burger, but I use a little bit extra meat and I flatten it out more so that it's kind of shaped like a steak actually, and I just don't cook it for quite as long. But if that's seasoned and seared nicely, it's still going to go perfectly with your roasted vegetables. This is a really important tip because when you have something exciting on your menu for dinner at night, it can really help you get through the day, especially if you're struggling. Think about it, when you have a good, let's say you're going out to eat, you're going to a restaurant and you're looking forward to that, or you're looking forward to any kind of occasion. Even if what's happening leading up to that is kind of trying on you, every time you think about that thing, you're like, oh, you get a little bit uplifted. This one is full and the light is almost gone, so I will see you tomorrow. The next high recommendation I have is to get all of your quote-unquote spring cleaning done now. So you're decluttering, you're deep cleaning, you're organizing. If you do any of those things, or if you don't, and maybe you think it's a good idea that you actually start, this is a great time to do it. I think the main reason I do this and I recommend it is because throughout the winter months, you're accomplishing something that is extremely rewarding, and you do it all before spring even hits. So you have extra time in spring to do other things. First of all, if you spend some weekends doing spring cleaning, there's certain things like outdoor things that you have to wait for spring, but anything inside, getting through that junk drawer or decluttering and organizing a closet, anything like that is going to be extra fulfilling if you do it now. You do it in stages throughout the course of the winter. So one of the things that I'm doing is pruning my plants. It gets very hot in here. I don't know if you can hear it, but my heater is going already. It just hisses throughout most of the winter. And in these NYC buildings, you can't control it. A lot of them, this one particularly, you cannot control your heat. It just kind of blasts heat, which I'm grateful for that amount of heat, but it gets to be a bit much. I have to open windows to kind of balance it throughout the winter. I give all of my plants showers throughout the winter just to get the outer leaves really soaked as well, so I'm not just focused on the soil but the plant as a whole. So these bamboo, they live in water. They really shouldn't have an issue with being underfed because they live in water. And yet they're still turning quite brown on me because they go up so tall, they're so high to the ceiling, there's extra heat up there. I think what I'm going to do at this point is just trim them way down, give them a nice haircut, and then by spring they'll already have started to regrow. I'm also checking the soil, refilling the soil. It's one of those things that I typically wait for the spring to do, and I decided this winter I'm going to not wait for the spring. I'm going to work on it now throughout the winter. And in addition, I'm also doing quite a bit of decluttering. And in a couple of months, when we're in the swing of early spring, I'm already going to be ahead of the game in these areas. Lastly, and this is so beneficial, is to add some quality reading time, to prioritize some quality reading time. You may already do this. It's something I've gotten out of the habit of doing, but more recently have been prioritizing again. It could be as simple as a few moments in a history book or reading up on economics. And perhaps my favorite reading time would be getting in the Word of God and just soaking up all of the goodness that is there. Just letting our minds be a sponge throughout this time of reading, to let our imaginations explore while taking in scenarios word by word. If we had no winter, the spring would not be so pleasant. If we did not sometimes taste of adversity, prosperity would not be so welcome. Enjoy wintering, my friends.